Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Panzer Corps II. This is our Let's Play series looking at this new turn-based strategy and war game that is out by Slytherin is the publisher, Flashback Games is the developer, and it's essentially a spiritual successor to the Panzer General series of SSI fame from the 1990s. It is the sequel to Slytherin's own Panzer Corps I, which came out in 2012. Panzer Corps I in look and feel was much more akin to the original Panzer General. Panzer Corps II has sort of slightly higher fidelity graphics, a sleeker and more streamlined UI. It feels like a more modern, newer game. In that sense, it does lose a little bit of the charm of Panzer Corps I and the original Panzer General, but overall it's still a very fun and entertaining game. This was taken from a live stream from just a couple of days ago, actually just from last night, where I played through the Battle of Moscow. So we've gotten all the way to Moscow, we've won the gates to Moscow, we're now fighting the Battle of Moscow, and this is my second attempt at the Battle of Moscow. The first attempt did not go well, and this is my second attempt at taking the city. I will say I'm a little bit frustrated that when you lose the Battle of Moscow, there is no follow-on. I think one of the greatest things that the original Panzer General had was this sense of a living, breathing world where you could lose battles and the campaign could continue. You had a branching campaign, and if you lost Moscow, then you would go down pretty much the historical route of the campaign after Moscow, right? Because Germany didn't take Moscow in World War II, so you know what to design next as a game designer. And if you do take Moscow, it's easy to say, okay, Russia's out of the war, the Russian campaign's over, if that's what you want to do. But this game doesn't allow for that, and I will say that is a pretty big disappointment on my part. I think it causes you to lose a lot of the immersion and the mystique of the campaign, and that's what I have to say about that. With that being said, we are going to go ahead and jump into the live stream from my Twitch channel, and from here on out, that's what you hear.
With the rain and the mud freezing into snow and ice, one final push to Moscow is going to be attempted. Hardly ideal conditions to start with, but I still have more bad news for you. Forward recon elements of 3rd Panzer Group have reported major Soviet reinforcements have arrived from the east. There's no doubt that these troops are already entrenching throughout the city. Therefore, the mission will need to be broken down into 3 distinct parts. First, you must push your troops through the defensive lines around Moscow. I recommend focusing on here or here. Secondly, critical government locations across Moscow will need to be secured decisively. I suggest you start with the Kremlin here, and then go here and here. But the choice is yours. Finally, once the last of the city's defenders have been cleared out, you will need to hold the city against any potential waves of Soviet reinforcements. It now falls on you to carry out this most critical of operations. Good luck, Herr General.
No, I think it was the audio mic. I unplugged my mic for work today, so I could use my fancy-ass microphone on my work laptop for a couple of audio calls, because I wanted everybody to hear my crisp and soothing voice. And for whatever reason, Windows, the default, when I plug this thing back in, if I unplug it and the computer recognizes the mic is gone, the default seems to be is that it turns the volume down, which I fixed before I actually started the stream. But then apparently the other thing that happened last time that I completely forgot about is it changes the audio channel down from a 4800 hertz or 48,000 hertz down to 44,000 hertz, which seems to slow everything down a bit and causes my voice to sound really weird. I think it's because it's like recording it as if I'm speaking more slowly or something like that. So this should be fixed now. It sounds like it sounds good again. I don't know why Windows would do that, but apparently they do, so it's a thing. All right, so let's get back into this. Where was I? All right, so now I have all my forces ready. I need to go ahead and deploy. So we've got a couple of Pioneer units. We've got 2 Pioneer units by the looks of it. We've got 3 Grenadier units, which should be useful against enemy infantry and tanks. We've got 1 Paratrooper unit. We've got 3 regular infantry units. So 3 regular infantry, 3 heavy infantry, 2 Pioneers, and one False Jumper. So a grand total of 9 infantry units, 5 armored units, although I don't know how useful they'll be in a battle like this, where you can see this battle has a lot of urban areas to fight through. So that's a bit of a challenge. It'll be useful in the open areas out here, but again, the Russian tanks are so much better than my own that really the 3 PZ 3Js might hold their own, but that's about it. The anti-tank gun, the 5cm Pak 38 self-propelled, I'm assuming that will be effective against enemy armor, but I'm not sure. I've never used that unit before. 4 artillery pieces should be useful, although frankly I probably could use something a little bit larger calibered if I want to be really sort of pounding them into the dust. And it doesn't look like I can quite afford a larger gun. It would be 40 or... Well, this guy would only be 16, but I still can't afford it. An 17cm K18. Might be something we should look into. The fighters are good, and I might want to split out the Bf-109 20 into 2 units of 10. And I think that's about it. I don't know who we want to give our Consolidator trait to make him be able to overstrength. I'm not sure it really matters all that much at this point, but maybe something like the I don't know. It says it's a transport. That's weird. Maybe an armored unit. I don't know. I don't think I'm ever going to build a 20 strength armored unit. I could give it to the other fighter unit. I think we can always unassign them anyway. Alright. Well, I'm not going to overstrength the Pioneer right now anyway, Davin, so I'm not sure it matters. But okay, so this is our battlefield. We need to deploy our troops on the western and southern portion of the map. We need to drive into the interior of Moscow, take 3 objectives in the city itself, in the city center. There's 1 objective to the north near Kimry that we must take. There's 1 objective to the southeast at Kolmana that we need to take. And there's 1 objective in the south at Tula that we need to take. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total objectives that we have to take. There are secondary objectives further east, in the eastern half of the city of Moscow, to the east of Moscow at Alexandrov, Noganinsk, and that's it. So there are, what, 4 secondary objectives that we need to take. I'm assuming if we take the secondary objectives, then Russia's knocked out of the war completely, and you probably go to the British invasion. If you only take the primary objectives, I would guess, as has been the case in other World War II games like this that I played in the past, they'll say, like, you know, after this battle, they'll say, well, the Russian winter was so bad, and the Russians counterattacked, and we were driven out of Moscow, and we couldn't hold it. Something like that would be my prediction. My main problem with this battle is that you have to win it. I think one of the real charms of the original Panzer General was the ability to lose battles and still progress through the campaign. And this was always one of those battles that you could lose. Like, Moscow was a battle you could lose, and they would just continue the Russian campaign as it historically did. And I feel like that's what they should do in this, but apparently they don't. We're going to put our recon car in the south. We're going to put 1 armored unit here, a PZ-4, which is primarily an anti-infantry unit, also in the south. We're going to put a Wehr infantry here in the south as well. I think we'll put 2 Wehr infantries. And then we will put a self-propelled artillery piece down here. So we're going to... That's our force in the south. It'll be a bit of a fight for Tula. The enemy has a pretty strong force there, but I think this will be enough to deal with it. Meanwhile, I think what we'll do is we'll put our anti-tank gun here, sort of in the north, because there's a lot of enemy armor that tends to show up north of the city, so that'll be useful there. We'll also make sure to put our PZ-3s north of the city as well. I don't really want to drive those tanks into the city proper. One thing we need to consider also is that there's some heavy enemy armor out near Kolmna, so we should probably put a little bit of armor in the south here, and this sort of infantry assisting armor as well in the south. The artillery, I'm going to focus in kind of in the center-south. I want to try and push north through this sort of southern approach along this main roadway. So I'm going to do a couple of things. First, I'm going to need a little bit of infantry in the north, so we're going to put 1 Pioneer unit here because there is an enemy fort up in this direction we need to reduce. We're going to put a Grenadier unit up here as well, and then we're going to put 1 artillery unit up there. Then we're going to put the other 2 artillery units in the south in a position where they can support each other. We're going to go ahead and put 1 of our Pioneer units down here. We're going to put a Grenadier, and another grenadier down here, and then we'll put the final just standard Wehr infantry. I guess probably up here. We should probably put some infantry up north. There are some enemy troops here on the approaches up here. Our fighters, I think we'll want them relatively centrally located, so I'm actually going to put them sort of center north, and then center, and then we'll put our Stukas sort of center north, the 110 center south. We'll put our Stork up north, and we'll put one Stork down south. Oh, I can't do that, so we'll have to put it in sort of center south. And then we'll put our DEO 217 in the center as well. Interesting. You can always choose to go with the historical campaign options after winning. I just think it's kind of silly that you have to win. That seems a little bit like, come on. Well, I think that was one of the appeals of the original Panzer General, is how it was dynamic. Not dynamic, but it was branching. All right, so first things first, we need to go ahead and do some recon. So we've got our one Stork up north here. So we're going to sort of sweep the northern approaches, if you will. You can see we spotted some T-34s in the north here, as well as some bunkers and infantry on the northern approaches to Moscow. There's also one enemy T-50 tank up here as well. If we use our Stork in the south, we can kind of sweep. I'm trying to see what. We'll swing like this. So I won't see everything in the town, but we can see there's cavalry to the north. We have a recon car that can help swing the rest of the way. We detected some anti-tank guns, some more bunkers, some more troops in the approach up to these different objectives on the map. Okay, so let's see. What do we want to do first? I don't even think my fighters can reach out to engage him. Oh, they can. But it's cloudy, so the fighters don't do as well in anti-air missions at this point. And I can only reach one of his fighter units with one of my fighter units. So let's hold off on that for now. Let's go ahead and send our Stuka up here to try and hit these enemy T-50s. Or maybe we should send them after these T-34s. With a fighter escort. No. Let's try and take out these enemy T-50s. So we'll go ahead and hit these T-50s with dive bombers. Then we'll go ahead and move our No, my anti-tank guns aren't even very good. What the hell? Come on, guys. You should be better than this. All right, our Panzer 3Js. All right, so we've got them encircled. So we'll go with the 1-2. I guess it makes sense that he's not great on the defensive against enemy tanks. So 3-1 and then 2-1, and the enemy surrendered really without much of a fight. So that was good for us. We didn't even have to use our anti-tank guns. We wiped out an enemy armored unit right away, captured elements of it as well. We're not going to use our paratroopers in sort of a paratrooper way. We will drop them and sort of move behind the enemy anti-tank guns over here. Then we'll go ahead and attack the anti-tank guns with our infantry. I probably should have hit the anti-tank guns with air first. That might have allowed us to force them to surrender. We'll go ahead and move our fighter unit out here, covering our Stukas to make sure that the enemy bombers don't attack. And then maybe we'll move a BF-110 up to strafe those guys too, although it's probably a little bit late for that, so maybe we shouldn't do that. Instead, let's move our Pioneers out a little bit. Move our artillery forward here and bombard this enemy anti-tank gun. Bombard it again. Move our aircraft out this way and strafe. So there's enemy T-26s out to the east, as well as T-60s. I think we'll move this guy here. We'll get 3-1 odds. That's a unit built for supporting supporting friendly infantry and dealing with enemy units. And then we'll go ahead and attack here. We nearly destroyed it. We'll probably bring a fighter up here actually to finish it off with a strafing run. And we did. Nice. Okay, so our fighter finished off that anti-tank gun, so we cleared one town here in the south. as our troops begin to move forward. My artillery isn't quite far enough forward to really be effective at supporting these guys, but we'll get there. These strategic bombers, I think we'll move forward here to try and suppress these T-34s. In the event they launch a counterattack, they should be less effective. We may take some casualties on this bomber unit from enemy fighters, but the strategic bomber is the one I'm the least worried about. They're actually more durable, too. All right, so we'll move our infantry forward here against these 6 Soviet conscripts. First, we'll pound them with artillery. So we'll suppress them to a level 6, and, yeah, that's good. So then we'll go ahead and attack with grenadiers. 2 to 5, and we'll go ahead and attack with pioneers. 4 to 3, wow, those conscripts definitely fought better than I thought they would. That was a bit bloodier than I wanted. That kind of does it for the northern fighting on this turn. And where do we go in the south? So I think we'll go with armor here. I'll move my anti-tank gun over here. Bombard these guys first. Hit with our armor. 5 to nothing there. Our infantry will swing over as well. Our infantry will then pursue into the woods to hopefully finish off these cavalry. And we got them. Nice. Destroyed the enemy cavalry on the flank there. Move our recon car up this way to kind of get a better look at the town. I could actually move my my recon car north and attack these enemy cavalry. 5 to 1 odds. That's great. If the enemy does want to move their infantry out to focus on our rod, that's fine. I think it'll survive fine in open terrain against enemy infantry attacks. They are regular troops in the south near Tula, though, so they'll give a little bit of a better fight. There's also some heavy weapons units down there, and an enemy air unit, so we may get strafed or bombed or whatnot, but, you know, that's okay. Then we can turn our infantry north and try and finish off those guys as well. Okay, we might even consider upgrading one of our artillery units now that we have the money to heavier stuff. But we'll probably need most of the prestige as for reinforcements as we start taking losses. With that being said, that's going to do it for this first turn, so let's go ahead and see what turn number 2 has in store. It also looks like it's going to start snowing, so our air power is going to be much less valuable. Enemy fighters coming in strafe our anti-tank guns. Their anti-air hits our recon planes over Moscow. Another fighter unit there goes and strafes some of our artillery pieces. Strategic bombers get hit by enemy fighters, but they only lose 1 hit point, which is kind of what I was saying, is I wasn't that worried. Meanwhile, our heavy weapons units get shredded by a T-60. I would have thought they would have fared a little bit better. Our armor in the town here of Narofominsk is getting hit hard by enemy infantry, not inflicting that many casualties, losing very heavy casualties itself. It's down to 30% of its original strength. Hopefully they don't follow that up with any further attacks. Our pioneers, as pioneers do, are getting shot to pieces north as well. Fortunately, they did not die, so that's a good result. Enemy armor has started to move west, I think. There were a couple hexes further east, weren't they? Not actually sure. In any event, we've got these anti-tank guns surrounded, so we'll attack again with our infantry. We drove them back. Gonna go ahead and move my own armor here to... What do I want to do with my armor? Well, these guys can't get anywhere else, so we'll go ahead and finish the enemy guns off with our infantry. Then we'll move our false jumpers forward. Or Fallschirmjägers, not false jumpers. We'll leave the Pak 38 here back in the rear a little bit. Let's go ahead and bombard the 6 conscripts. Then we'll get a 4 to nothing here. Drive them back. We'll go ahead and pull... Well, we'll just reinforce fully as best we can anyway, our pioneers. We'll bring some of our panzers over here to shield. Maybe attack these guys, protect the engineers a little bit. These guys will protect the flank. These anti-tank guns will also kind of move in a little bit. Hopefully the enemy armor doesn't move at the anti-tank guns. It's supposed to be sunny tomorrow, so that should be good for our Air Force. Move the artillery forward here, so hopefully it can provide covering fire for the enemy. Or for our troops, not the enemy. Enemy armor out front here. This armored unit needs reinforcements badly, so we'll reinforce them. All right, we're going to move both our artillery units forward a hex. Question is, what do we want to shoot at? Wow, these T-60s are tough nuts. Alright, so we shot up the enemy flank there, their pioneers, or their paratroopers a bit. We'll just reinforce these guys north. We'll hope they don't do anything else there. Meanwhile, we'll move our artillery forward here. We'll do 2 to 1 suppression, hopefully. Three to 2, 2 to 1. That was a bit bloodier than I had hoped. I'm sure that's what every German commander said during World War II on the Russian front. Those attacks are not going as well. So this air unit can spend this turn reinforcing. Other than that, I don't have a lot else to do this turn because my air units are all grounded. I wonder if I have too many air units. I don't really want to attack them. I probably shouldn't have moved this armor into the city. We should have learned from the Panzer III getting shredded by enemy troops in the city. Can I swap them out? Nope. Okay. No, don't do that. Alright, well I think that's going to do it with this turn. So we'll see. Russian aircraft shouldn't be able to bomb us this turn, so that'll be good. Enemy infantry does try and attack our infantry. Our artillery fires in support. And it's about an even fight, not quite to our favor. More enemy attacks on our right flank here. Infantry and cavalry forming up on our 3rd Wehr Infantry Division there on the right flank. Meanwhile, enemy conscripts attack our armor in this town, and our armor is doing much better this time around. Probably because they're Panzer IVs, which are much better against enemy infantry. And that was a relatively non-eventful turn. It is now sunny again, and so weather conditions favor our air units once more. Let's go in the south first. I can't quite get my troops around there. Let's reinforce this guy. Oh, nice. We'll swing around here and hit the enemy cavalry. Just looking for opportunities to take them out. Then we'll move our recon car in behind here, and we should be able to finish them off. We do. So we'll reinforce here. And I didn't even attack with my artillery at all. They may move in the gap here and try and hit our artillery, so I'm actually going to pull it back, even though that'll prevent it from being effective in a defensive manner for our infantry. Actually, I should undo that. They may move forward and try and attack our armor in the flank. If they do, they do. I'm pretty happy with that result, though. We finished off that enemy cavalry now, and then it's just the 3 enemy infantry units in defense. They should be much less effective on the offensive against that. These Stukas really need to come down and help against these T-60s, which our armor apparently is having trouble with. Wow, that was effective. It's interesting what kind of hull that is. It's definitely got sloped armor, but... Alright, we're going to attack there. We're going to pull back. Swing our armor north. I don't want to put them in the town. We drove the enemy armor back. Then I can bring my 110 here in to finish it off. Then I can bring my fighters in here actually to help strafe the enemy, because they'll be adjacent to my own 109s. bring this air in here. And bring these fighters in here. So we've got kind of a clumping of air units in and around here. Move our infantry forward. All right, so we should be able to finish off these conscripts with our pioneers, and we do. A 4-0 attack there. Move these guys forward here against these guards troops. We drove them back. I'm going to go ahead and advance my grenadiers forward here to hopefully finish off these guards. Not quite. I don't have anything else that can strafe him to finish him off, unfortunately. But we should be able to finish them off soon. We'll go ahead and move our artillery forward here. Probably shouldn't have quite advanced the grenadiers quite so aggressively because they are going to be adjacent to this enemy strong point, but it's too late to undo that. Or Stork, whatever it is. Swings and recons there. All right. Enemy KVs out east, as well as some British Valentines. All right, let's focus on these Soviet paratroopers. 4-1. 4. Drive both these guys back. Our armor will pursue through the gap, hopefully finishing off these guys. They do. They wipe out that enemy conscript unit. They'll get a 4-1 against them, though, if they attack these paratroopers, so we'll actually pull them back right out of danger, get them away from the city. So we destroyed one unit, and we crippled their paratroopers, although they're not dead yet. Not dead yet! We'll move this infantry west-ish. I'd like to keep them mounted up. All right, let's just reinforce this armor. We'll bring this infantry forward here. We'll kind of hang out here in the north. I really need to bring my Stuka north to help deal with this T-34. I think that's mostly it for the turn. Some units could still move, theoretically. You know, we could also, one of our other options is to overstrength a pioneer unit just slightly. We do have that as an option. Hey, Newhauser, going well. How are you? So that'll do it for turn number 3. The enemy air force is going to come in. I'd really like to start shooting them apart, shooting them to pieces. Attack bombers come in there. Enemies strafe our tanks with their fighters. Our fighters didn't intercept, apparently. Enemy infantry moves to attack our armor. Our armor's in the woods, which makes them vulnerable, but they actually do a good job on the defensive there against the infantry, 5-2. More enemy fighters strafing our troops. The infantry moves forward just as I said they probably would to hit our artillery. They don't actually do much damage and get themselves encircled, so that should be interesting. Their fighters do a little bit more damage. The pillbox there, 2 damage, although we did suppress them at level 2. Our pioneers kind of trying to hold out there. Armor also trying to hold out against Soviet counterattacks. Pioneers really engaged heavily in the north. Turn number 4. All right, so we've got some Yaks, and we've got some Petlov PE2s. Let's go for the Petlov. Let's see if we can finish it off. Got it! 10-0. Wiped it out, one shot. All right, so we got them. Let's go for these. We're gonna fly this guy just past the lag. We'll get a 6-2 result. That's not bad. Try and finish it off here. It says 0-3, but maybe we'll get a little lucky again. Nope, we don't. Nonetheless, their strength is down to 1. So one of their fighter units is down to 1. One of their tactical air units is dead. My Stuka can reach out and hit this enemy T-34, which I will do, but that is pretty risky because I'm assuming their enemy fighters are going to come pay us a visit. All right. And my PaK-38 can't even reach it yet because I haven't moved it into position. So we'll move east, I guess. We'll move our armor there to attack. It's 2-2. It's not quite the results I had hoped for. Meanwhile, our second Ver and our false jumpers can actually attack these guys. So we're going to move here. We'll get 2-7. Those are great odds. They didn't retreat. So we'll go ahead and attack again. We did drive them back, although we didn't destroy them. I was trying to probably be a little bit too cute there. All right, we're trying to hit this enemy fort. Need reinforcements for these guys. All right, let's bombard this fort. Let's bring these pioneers forward. I'm attacking maybe less. I'm not as focused as I probably should be on the offensive. All right, so we are weakening this fortification. It's completely suppressed, so we should be able to hopefully finish it off next turn. Not sure how much more air the enemy has. I haven't detected, obviously, all of their units, but I don't see a lot. So maybe they won't attack that Stuka despite being really vulnerable up there. Okay. Alright, don't want to forget about the troops in the south. Alright, that armor should be able to finish them off. They do, and they get the overrun, so then they can move north and attack this enemy infantry. Drive it back. My own infantry are going to fall back here. They should be back in supply and no longer suppressed. Our recon vehicles will move east here and try and finish these guys off. They do, and then they'll move east and take this town for a little bit of extra prestige. So another enemy unit destroyed here in the south near Tula. They're down to 2 infantry units in Tula. They also have one T-26 unit that's in the north that could provide some relief, as well as some KVs and Valentines off to the east over here near Coleman. But we took this town. That's good for us. Gives us 50 more prestige. Okay. So I think that'll do it for turn number 4. We'll move to turn number 5. Forgot the enemy does have a fighter in the south there as well. So we've got at least 2 full-strength enemy fighter units. They move this one for some perplexing reason against our strat bombers. They continue to strafe our artillery in the south with another one. Pillbox attacks our grenadiers. Some infantry to the south of that pillbox also look like they may be moving into position to attack our pioneers. Russian infantry here. Conscripts move in and retake Kiln and hit our infantry in the flank, or our Fallschirmjägers. Some other conscripts move forward here and also attack our Fallschirmjägers to much less effect. The enemy's down to 2 strength in their T-34s. We'll move our PaK-38s, the things I bought here, forward, and they finish the enemy off. So we killed that T-34. Huzzah for us. Bully. I want to try and get these yaks. So let's move our fighters forward here. We're expecting 9-1 results. And we got them! We got 10-1. All right, so we did that. Now we can move our Stuka forward here to hit this fort. Move these guys over here to hit this fort. We'll move our 110s over here to hit this enemy armor here. Meanwhile, we'll go ahead and bombard this bunker here. Let's attack here. Maybe we'll get it. Yeah, good job, Pioneers. All right, so the Pioneers successfully attacked that position. There's not much experience here, so we'll just give these green recruits some reinforcements. All right, we'll move forward here and attack those boys. Okay. Alright, so these paratroopers to the east here hopefully are subdued somewhat. Alright, we'll reinforce those troops. Continue attacking this fort. I'd like to go at them with Pioneers. Can't get them over there, though. Nice. So we finished off that enemy infantry unit here. We'll go ahead and pound these guys. I don't want to take 3 casualties, though. Okay, can we finish these off? Destroyed those Soviet paratroopers. Very nice. We'll attack that fort with our armor. Reduce it slightly. Okay. All right. We'll need to move these units west here to knock these Soviet conscripts out in Kliln to try and retake that city. Got pretty good line of sight. Oh boy. I'm guessing this is the Soviet counterattack. Some T-50s, T-60s, AT-1s, and T-34s and recon cars out to the east of Moscow. That's going to be tough to deal with. We're going to need good weather and clear skies. Okay, we're gonna pause this turn. Oh no, I don't have any shit. I hope they don't destroy my artillery piece there with their air units. Alright, we'll get a 1-2. I don't want to take 3 casualties. Sometimes you gotta take the losses to wear them down and get their entrenchments down. Even so, they're still dug in at level 5. Wow. Alright, so I think that's going to do it for this turn also. We're just starting to move into Moscow proper. We're starting to slowly work our way through the enemy's outer entrenchments. We're being a little bit more careful about it, a little bit more, I think, intelligent about it. Okay, so they didn't destroy our artillery piece down there. I don't think they're going to be in a position to do so either. Enemy infantry continue to move around and attack where they can. Artillery just hit those anti-tank guns of ours. Infantry's going to move east there to take them out as well. They did surprisingly well. 3 casualties without loss? I'm happy with that result. Another 3-1. But again, just suppression. Good job, boys. We'll move the infantry out here. Drive them back. Meanwhile, let's try and knock out more of the enemy air force. Do we need it? Do we need that unit? It is cloudy, so we aren't going to get as good a results with the air. Got it! Man, the BF-109 is just a killer of enemy air units. Just a butcher of squadrons. All right. I'm going to move these armored units south here to try and attack these conscripts. They get the hit. They get the overrun, so then they can move north and attack again. So I'll move the Stuka into position here to bomb this enemy artillery. It is going to be within range of enemy anti-aircraft. They don't actually kill anyone, but they do suppress us a little bit. That weakens the effect of our attack. It's okay, though. They still get 1 casualty in, and then our armor attacks and gets another 2. So that enemy artillery's gravely weakened. Meanwhile, our artillery will hit these enemy fortifications. Probably should have hit them with air first. We'll go ahead and bomb them now. So we've got multiple suppressive hits on these guys. I can't get my pioneers there. It's really frustrating. Alright, let's hit them like that. I'm confused. Did these guys already attack? Well, we drove them east. Strafe these guys here. Okay, so we attack there. So these guys are going to attack this infantry unit. They'll get the overrun, so that'll move the armor west here to attack these infantry, the guards, who we drove back already. And we'll drive them back further. We'll pull these Fallschirmjägers back here to attack them also. And they finished them off. Okay, so that enemy unit is gone. Move our pioneers here. They're going to work on finishing off this fort next turn. Meanwhile, our other pioneers will move into the city here to finish off these 13 guards. We'll move the grenadiers out in front of our infantry here in an effort to shield the pioneers from enemy attack. So we've kind of cleared at least the southern approaches to Moscow. I'm guessing there's still enemy units here in both of these objectives, although maybe not. Usually, I think the guards units were the ones that were stationed on those objectives. Alright, we'll attack there. It's only a 1, but aw. It predicted no casualties. Alright, so we should be able to finish that fort off next turn. It's important because it has artillery as well, and it's kind of positioned astride the flank of our advance. So I know sometimes it's like you can leave units and isolate them, but that's probably, I don't think, one we should. It's going to be cloudy again next turn. That limits our line of sight. It does look like there are still guards here in this northern objective. I can't see the southern objective quite yet. We need to spend some points reinforcing this artillery in the south. We'll move that recon. There is still enemy infantry here in the south as well, so none of the objectives are empty. The western portion of the city is, but that's about it. Still a lot of enemy units left. Still 19 more turns to go. Waves and waves of attacks on this enemy infantry, and we can't seem to dislodge them. They're in entrenchments as well, so we also can't finish that off. There's also an enemy air unit that I just can't deal with. I really need to shift some air units a little bit further south so we can finish off this enemy air. I'm thinking I might have finished off the rest of their air force, though, with that last kill of that enemy yak with our 109s over here, so we might be able to do that. But that, I think, is about it for the turn. Enemy anti-aircraft shooting at our recon planes. The recon planes are remarkably difficult to hit for enemy aircraft. Which I guess makes sense. They're really small, light aircraft, so Meanwhile, our grenadiers are get hit by enemy infantry attacking, but... Gonna move my pioneer forward here, see if he can finish off this enemy fort, which is cut off. He cannot. What about my air? Can the Stuka? They won't even do anything. Oh, shit. Undo. Alright. What about these grenadiers? Okay, there you go. Grenadiers finished them off. Good result there. Okay. These guys need to reinforce. We'll go with the rooks. Rookies! Your time has come. Alright, let's pound this enemy infantry here. Three artillery units, gonna hammer it. Infantry moves over, hopefully finishes it off. Yep, got him. Reinforce those pioneers there. Reinforce this armor. Alright. So we've cleared the southern approaches to these objectives. 2 enemy forts down, multiple enemy infantry units destroyed, and the access to these 3 critical objectives is more or less open. Meanwhile, on the right flank there, dealing a bit of a blow to this enemy artillery, driving it back. There is an enemy anti-aircraft gun there that would make actually destroying it somewhat difficult. But let's go for it. Hopefully we don't lose casualties, just suppression. No, we lost 1 casualty. We also didn't quite finish it off. I should have hit it first. I always make that mistake. Alright, let's rebase our fighters south a bit. So we can go after these enemy fighters here. Can't quite reach them there either, so we'll rebase both these fighter units south. Okay. Can we hit these guys? Well, they're already kind of max suppressed. So we drove them back. Recon car will pursue. God, they just won't die. Alright, flank here and destroy them. Got them. Alright, then our armor can move in and take the airfield, which will give us some badly needed prestige. Also gives us a encirclement on the city. So hopefully we can start finishing off Tula next turn, and then we can start sort of shifting some of our attention. Also going to... I don't know, there's a ton of enemy armor up in the north that makes me a little bit uneasy about a flank counterattack. But for the moment, I think I need the... Well, this 110 can kind of hit all the points here down in the south. Fan Ad W, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. I wonder if there's anybody over there. Can't quite see far enough. We should probably rebase this. Oh no, the Strat Bomber can hit from over here. So actually, let's start, since I can't reinforce him, because I don't have the prestige, we'll start suppressing these guys, maybe digging into their entrenchments a little bit with our strategic bombers. I think everybody else is more or less moved. I mean, the armor can. Probably shift these guys north also, just in the event that the enemy armor does flank attack up there. They're not going to be much good driving through the city. Luke Smurfin, thanks for the follow as well. Alright, so that'll do it for turn number 7. We'll move to turn number 8. Looks like it's another day of cloudy weather. Our aircraft ambushed his planes returning to their base, but it was just a glider, so it's kind of like, you know, imagine your fighters being jumped by not gliders, but Cessnas, essentially. Okay, the enemy infantry is counterattacking our infantry advance in the south here. Let's move our Stuka here to hit these guys. All right, thank you. Puncher, the British never came close to falling due to U-boats. It's largely a myth that's propped up by the wartime secrecy that existed. They didn't want to let the Germans know how effective they were at reading their codes, and a lot of that stuff didn't even really get declassified until like the 1990s. But you know, the British were never close to starving in World War II. They were far closer to being defeated in the U-boat campaign in World War I than they ever were in World War II. Now, there's definitely arguments to be made about whether they forced the German or the Allies to commit so many resources toward the Battle of the Atlantic that it could have, you know, eaten up more Allied resources than it used of the Germans. That's potentially an argument, but the Germans also committed vast sums of resources as well to the Atlantic campaign. So, anyway, let's reinforce this armor in the north to full strength. All right, we'll attack those infantry. Attack these guys. They're encircled now. Encircled and driven back. Alright, can we get our tactical air up here to finish these guys off? Or at least get them close enough to being finished off that my armor can finish them? There we go. Overrun, destroyed, and then retook the city. Oh, if Russia hadn't entered the war? I don't know. I mean, I'm not a big fan of, like, coulda, woulda, shouldas, because it's so hard to know. Alright. Okay. Alright, we'll move our pioneers over here. I'll drive that enemy infantry back. I'm really not a fan of moving my armor into the city, so I'm actually going to move them south. Can we finish this enemy air off? Where are they? Their air force withdrew back east, I think. Can my fighters get that far? No. The AI was very smart. It saw that I rebased my fighters south, and it... Oh, well, actually, no, I can't give the AI too much credit. We took their airfield. Never mind. I mean, not that it was stupid, but... Ooh, nice. A 5-to-1 assault there. Hell yeah. Good job, Vares. 1-4. Awesome. Go ahead and pursue with these recon cars. And we'll let these guys reinforce with what points they have. So we took those bases, and now we can begin the drive north. That was a very effective attack on Tula there. I should probably rebase some of these fighters to this southern base now. Maybe they can get out there and hit the enemy air units over there. Okay, we've got to keep moving our artillery forward to support that advance. Move these grenadiers forward. They'll finish off that enemy infantry. Move these north to knock out this enemy artillery, which could potentially be in the way. Got to remove as many of those supporting troops as you can, in my opinion, before you launch your attacks, because those are the guys that really make some of your attacks bloody and costly when they're firing in support. It's supposed to be cloudy again. We've had relatively good-ish luck in that the enemy hasn't had a lot of snowy weather. Enemy flak is going to be tough to deal with. All right, so we'll be able to reduce these guys. I think just the massing of artillery should be helpful. I want to, if I can, try and isolate this large enemy armored formation in the north, as well as these heavy tanks in the south, so that I can pick them off one by one, but I don't know how realistic that is. All right, enemy aircraft are back in play here. The Yaks. We'll have to see if our fighters over here can hit them. They should be able to. So let's go ahead and get these guys over here. They can. It's cloudy, though, so they only get a 1 to 4, and it's supposed to snow tomorrow. God damn it. We're not going to finish these guys off. We're going to badly shoot them up, but we're not going to finish them. They'll lose 80% of their strength. So maybe when they reinforce, they won't have any strength left. I guess that's going to be the one positive. Meanwhile, let's just hammer these guys with non-stop artillery. Bring these pioneers forward here. Get a 0 to 7 on them. Surprised this artillery can't fire in support on the unit in front of Moscow, but apparently they can't. So move these guys through to pursue. They can fire against these guys who are now technically encircled. I'll continue the pursuit up east. Thought I had 2 pioneer units in the north. I haven't lost any units killed yet. Oh, here they are. We get a 0 or 2 to 3. Let's reinforce these guys. I hate losing all that experience, but it's kind of the reality of what we have to deal with. All right. Pioneers attack. We're just really trying to overwhelm the enemy fort. All right, this strong point north there should be gone here next turn. Maybe even this turn. We'll move those grenadiers over here. Just surrender already, you stubborn bastards. Can't even move my Stukas over there to hit. They'll get clobbered by the enemy Air Force. Or the enemy flak, sorry. Okay, we'll hold these guys back. Meanwhile, I'm going to swing this armor in behind these T-26s. Can the Stuka make it down there? It can't. Just barely. And our Sturmpanzer can't quite make it up there either. So we get a 1 to 2, 1 to 1, 1 to 1. Kind of interested in trying to see if we can take these objectives for extra prestige, but I don't know what's over there. We shot it up pretty good, but we couldn't finish these guys off. Swing our other PZ force south. Our armor's really consolidating down here in the south. It'll be interesting also to see if this enemy armor out here advances west and tries to counterattack us over here. They certainly could. All right, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and jump in here and wrap this one up. It's about halfway through this live stream, so far the battle's going reasonably well. We've made a lodgment in the southwestern portion of Moscow. We've taken Tula in the south. We're slowly and methodically moving through the city and knocking out enemy fortified positions in an intelligent way that doesn't take too many casualties. So, somewhat optimistic about our chances moving forward, but we'll pick this up next time. Until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again, thanks for watching, and until next time, I'm out.